Hey guys, Ace here and welcome to PHP tutorial number 37. Today we're going to be looking at SQL functions and also a bit on aliases in SQL. So go ahead and open up MySQL console, and now I'm going to be using the database. And now if I select last name from the users table, at the moment I'll get all these as they are in the database, but what if I want them in uppercase or lowercase? Well, this is where functions come into use. All you have to do to use a function in a select query is type the select keyword, then the name of the function, and if I want the function to make all the results uppercase, I'd use the upper function, then the two parentheses, and the first parenthesis has to be right next to the end of the function name, and then the from table name as usual, and then you just put the argument in between the braces. Okay, so I'm going to make my argument last name, and you can probably guess what's going to happen now. It's going to return all the last names but in uppercase form if I run this, and you were right if you guessed that. And we can do the same but with lowercase just by using the lower function. Okay, there you go. Now those are two of the functions. Now I'm going to cover the rest of the functions. So the next function we have is the concat function. What this allows us to do is concatenate the list of arguments we give it. So say I wanted to have a string which contained, when we use a select query, I wanted it to return for each row one string which contained the last name, then a comma and a space, and then the first name, and then a full stop. Well, at the moment, all I can get out of the database is the last name and the first name. I can't put the comma in and the space in, and I can't put the full stop in. And it would be hard to do that in PHP. I'd have to, I don't know, off the top of my head, individually select the last name and the first name, and then test for their length, and then put a comma and a space at the end of the length of the last name, and then a full stop at the end of the length of the first name. So it would be really complicated to do it that way. But MySQL allows us to use a concat function, whereby we just supply a list of arguments and it concats them, and we can have as many arguments as we want. So I want the first thing to be last name, then I'm going to put a comma, and the second thing I want to concatenate onto that is a comma and a space inside a string literal as well. Okay, and then I'm going to have the next thing as the first, oops, not between quotes, first name. I know this looks confusing, but it's from there to there as a quote. Okay, so I know it looks like apostrophe comma, but it's actually string comma. Okay, and then after first name, I'm just going to have a full stop. Okay, and if I run that query, you can see each return value is last name, then a comma and a space, then the first name and a full stop. Okay, which makes it look really nice and formatted, and we've done that simply with a concat function. Now, sort of like the concat function is the concat_ws function, which allows us to supply for the first argument a character that will be put after every argument except for the last argument. So we can have the first argument we supply will be that character, or that string. In fact, it's not just a character. And then every argument after that will have at the end of it that string, apart from the last one which won't have it. And then after the specific first argument, you can have as many more arguments as you want to concatenate together. So I'm just going to make my string a hello, just to make it really obvious that something's happening. I'm just going to have to put that over multiple lines. And there we go. So now you can see after the last name, hello exclamation mark, after the comma space, hello exclamation mark, after the first name, hello exclamation mark, but then not after the last argument. So yeah, there you go, that's the concat_ws function. Now the next one we have is the length function, which simply returns the length of the supplied string. So if I have last name from users. It just returns a length for each last name in the users table. Okay, and that is correct. I did just before I started recording, I counted it up. That's correct, just so everyone knows. Now the next function is the left function, and now I had a bit of difficulty understanding this one, so I had to look it up on MySQL resource. But basically, what it does is the first argument is the string or the field, so in this case I'm going to use the field last name from the table, and then the second character is the number of characters you want to get from the last name from the left. So if I put 3 or 4 here, what would happen is it would get from the left 4 of, in the case of the first row, 4 of the 7 characters from the first row, 4 of the 7 characters from the second row, 4 of the 6 characters from the third row, and so on. Okay? And actually, I just need to put from users there as well. And if I run that now, you can see we only get fent, hell, and fent again. Okay? So that demonstrates that. Now, another function